Good morning. I wish to welcome everyone and officially declare the special budget meeting open at 9 a.m. Can I remind everybody that today's special meeting is open to the public and is also recorded and available for viewing after the meeting to provide access to all community members. Attendees in the gallery may be recorded. Wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land on which we stand, the Gulnay people, and acknowledge my respect for their current and emerging elders and those in the dreaming, and thank you for the contributions they've made in building our community. Are there any apologies? No apologies. Thank you. Declaration of prescribed conflicts of interest or declarable conflicts of interest. I now invite those present to use this opportunity to make public any prescribed conflicts of interest or declarable conflicts of interest in respect of the items in the agenda. Councillors should use this opportunity to disclose and or comment on other councillors and or staff interests in accordance with the Act and regulations. Do we have any conflicts? No. Move on to item 1.1 and I will hand over to our CEO, Mr. Andrew Graffin, to present.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, the first item is just looking at the corporate plan 25 to 2030. So in 2024, Council decided to combine these plans into one succinct and integrated document and to exceed the requirement of the Local Government Act. By extending the plan to cover 5 years instead of just one, this was done to improve strategic planning and communication about what Council is planning to do to meet community priorities and aspirations. To develop this plan, Council adopted the Future Strategic Planning Approach, a rigorous and robust integrated planning and reporting process aimed at improving community engagement, transparency and accountability. The decisions were based on extensive community engagement with more than 2,400 community members participating in surveys, workshops and youth forums. So this plan describes the vision, desired outcomes, objectives and strategic priorities and articulates what services, actions and key projects will be delivered by Council over the next 5 years. This then rolls out into Council's annual 2026-27 operational plan. So there's a recommendation there, and that's that Council adopt the revised Cassowary Coast Regional Council Corporate Plan 2025 to 2030.
That's a little more.
I'd be happy to move that, Chair.
Do that. Thank you.
Second, Chair.
Seconded by Councillor Chewy. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Move over to item 1.2 and Mr. Graffin will also present.
Thank you, Chair. Today presenting the Operational Plan 26-27. So Council's operational plan sets out the key actions, projects and service priorities that will be delivered during the 26-27 financial year. It's effectively Council's annual delivery plan that turns the 5-year corporate plan into practical actions, aligns those actions with the annual budget and provides a clear framework for reporting progress to Council and to the community. The operational plan is directly linked to Council's Corporate Plan 25-2030 and supports a shared vision for the Cassowary Coast to become the most livable tropical community. The actions are grouped under the corporate plan themes of healthy communities, livable places, sustainable environments, thriving economy and good governance. Now, the document has been provided for Council to review. I might just touch on a few of the highlights from the report. So under healthy communities, Council's working in partnership with the community to enhance and promote pride in and livability of our region. For those that are reading this plan, there is a link to the corporate plan and I might start with objective 1, create safe and healthy communities by delivering and advocating for better services and facilities. So under there's an operational initiative that's come out of Council's corporate plan. What we're looking at this year is the success measure. How is Council looking to meet that operational initiative, who the lead department are, and then it's indicating the expected quarter of the financial year that the work will be undertaken. So under healthy communities, there's a success measure there that Council will have a community safety plan developed with community consultation and endorsed by Council by Q4. The Council will partner with community groups to deliver activities during NAIDOC week and Reconciliation week, and looking forward to those occurring in July and also in Q4 of the 26-27 financial year. Council will review the Cassowary Coast Art Deco strategy and present that for Council adoption. Council will complete supply and demand research, explore feasibility of tenure development, and develop a model to provide Council with the most beneficial long-term outcome, and provide a report to Council around family daycare. We know how much of a challenge that is for many families within this region. Council will also facilitate and deliver the Youth Action Plan and the priorities that come out of that Youth Action Plan, recalling that Youth Action Plan has been developed in collaboration with Council's Youth Advisory Committee. Under livable places, Council look to draft the planning scheme, provide that to the state government for a state interest check. Our planning scheme has been waiting for the delivery of the regional plan. Now that regional plan has been delivered, we can progress with a review of our own planning scheme. Council will also deliver the detailed design for the Banyan Park district level play space, informed by community consultation. I'll have the design completed in community consultation and progress the outcomes for Bowen Street Cardwell. So pending the budget today, there's funding for real to deliver on the ground in Bowen Street and Cardwell. Deliver upgrades to Warrabullen Road and Hernan Road. Deliver unsealed road upgrades to Jubilee Road, Granadilla Road, Scoogall Road. We're seeing more bitumen going down on unsealed roads across this region. Council will deliver the Innisfail CBD footpath upgrades, and these will be significant across Lily Street, Ernest Street, Rankin Street and Edith Street. Council will negotiate an infrastructure agreement to deliver long-term dredging plan for Port Hinchinbrook with Economic Development Queensland to ensure that there's predictability for the community down there. Council will service and maintain approximately 833 kilometres of water mains to deliver potable water and respond to water main breaks in line with Council's customer service standards. We'll deliver over 3,860 metres of water main renewals across the region and continue to deliver the smart meter program with an additional 800 metres delivered in the financial year. Under sustainable environments, Council will present for adoption the Hull Heads and Tully Heads foreshore management plan following community consultation. Again, Council will deliver the successful tilapia tournament with strong community participation and engagement. Council will progress a Cardwell nature-based solutions project as a case study. Council has been successful in securing some grant funding for this, and this project will be a great case study for not just Cardwell, but across the state of Queensland. Establish tenure for key drainage outlets, and one of the things that councillors will note in this year's operational plan is the strong focus on improvements to drainage infrastructure across the region. This includes Coda and Quilla Street, works there in Cardwell, additional monitoring and resilience improvements there, some work on Castor Street, Marillion, with some boots on the ground there to improve that. We're looking at works in Ann Road and also working to advocate with Queensland Rail for improvements in Silkwood, undertaking drainage modelling and updating the Marillion, East Innisfail and Mission Beach to identify future flood resilience projects. But importantly, a number of those projects will see boots on the ground and work undertaken to improve our drainage resilience. Council will also continue its recycling education initiatives with a focus on reducing contamination in curbside recycling and supporting the community to work towards contamination levels that are acceptable for the Cairns material recovery facility. So important that work that people in our community are doing isn't being undermined by contamination, and we're not seeing those loads getting diverted to landfill where the contamination levels are too high. Council will also continue the landfill closure plan, do the detailed design for that landfill closure plan and have that ready for Council to take to the market for works to commence hopefully in the 2027 dry season. Under thriving economy, Council will again deliver the successful local business awards. The concept design will be developed for the revetment wall and associated infrastructure along the Johnson River. RV parking and additional CBD car parking will be delivered and investigated throughout the Innisfail CBD. The Council will also complete a caravan park strategy for endorsement. Under good governance, the Cassowary Coast Advocacy Plan 26-27 will be developed and endorsed by Council. There's been some great success through that advocacy plan over the last 12 months, certainly around our medical facilities, primary healthcare across the region, the success down there with the state's acquisition of land down in Port Hinchinbrook have been two of the major successes from our advocacy in the prior year. Council will again review the Rating Advisory Committee recommendations and model those to inform the 27-28 budget process. And Council will continue to grow our own. We'll continue to sustain at least 18 apprenticeships and traineeships subject to government funding throughout the year. Look, there is much more in there, councillors, and happy to take any questions on that report, but they are some of the highlights from the 26 annual report. There is a recommendation there that council adopt the 26-27 annual operational plan in accordance with section 1741 of the local government regs.
Councillor Jessup.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Grappens, council has been looking innovation. What's the word?
Innovatively.
Innovatively, that's the word. Thank you. And partnering with different people in the waste industry. Can you give us a little bit of a heads up on that?
Yeah, look, absolutely. Council's, I guess, foreshadowed in the draft waste and resource recovery strategy that is one area that council wishes to progress with. We do see with the right approvals in place that pyrolysis may be an opportunity for a number of waste streams. Council is working with F&Q Rock to look to host a trial at Stodders Hill, which is highlighted in the operational plan. That trial initially is working with Tyre Stewardship Australia, and that will see some of those tyres. Some of these we don't have a good recycling source for tyres. We are quite remote here, so obviously all general waste is also going up through the Palmerston up to Mareeba. Some significant costs in this region, so being able to be involved in some of these commercial trials puts council in a good position in the future to potentially scale those up and reduce our costs of disposal just based on the tyranny of distance that we have here in the Cassowary Coast.
Yeah. Also, thank you for that. Can I have an update about the improvements or possible improvements of Silkwood drainage and where we're at when we're advocating for, and if there's any holdups, which we know, just to make them more resilient?
Yeah, look, officers have done a number of studies over a number of years which have highlighted that it is a bit of a captive system in there. We certainly saw with some of the work that DTMR have undertaken in the last 12 months on the highway, opening up culverts there, particularly around Littleborough Creek and others, that we are seeing water move out of that system faster. We have got money in the budget, should that be adopted this today, to look at works on Ann Road, specifically about removing a culvert there that can at times throttle and restrict some of the water that's moving out of that system. But ultimately what the reports are showing is that we are stuck between two QR, Queensland Rail culverts, and certainly a need to put some advocacy or continued advocacy in there around increasing the capacity of those culverts under those Queensland Rail lines. I think it's one of the unfortunate aspects of resilience that Queensland Rail look at their lines. They raise the lines. We see it with the highway as well. That's not often done in a way that can effectively deal with some of those more significant rain events. They're typically modelled for Q100, and we know that we have regularly seen events that sort of exceed that historically.
And the flood modelling, when will we get the results of the latest flood modelling?
Look, that is progressing. We would hope to see something in Q1 this year for that flood modelling to come out. There's obviously been a significant amount of additional information, empirical data that's come in from the community, which we're grateful for, and that's been combined with the modelling that we're doing at the moment.
All right, thank you.
Councillor
Thank you. I'm happy to move the recommendation. I'd just like to talk on 4.4 of the Objective 4, grow community capacity through grant support and volunteering programs. As my portfolio, just recently on the weekend, we had the Great Pacifica event and we had the debrief shortly thereafter. And one of the conversations was how some of the participants didn't do more because they couldn't, they found paperwork a little bit overwhelming. So it was suggested in the commentary that we should have a workshop to assist those people so they could move forward in that. And one of our officers said, yeah, that was proposed. So I'm great to see that that's, you know, that it's a way that involves our community to create a community event. So I think that's a great initiative. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Pervin.
Yes, through the chair, thank you. Mr. CEO, it's good to see that the council's taken a strong focus on the drainage and flooding issues in areas of the Cassowary Coast, and to see this split up across all 4 quarters, it's just showing we're not letting down on it, and we are working there. Will be some stuff that's going to be implemented. I'm presuming in certain areas, not just it's all studies. There is hard work to be done there.
Yeah, through the chair, the studies won't stop. We'll continue to find solutions, and these solutions are not easy. These have been some of these locations we've had flooding issues since the 70s, since forever. So, the team are working really hard to find more solutions. Fish Point significantly impacting that December-January event that we saw, the end of 25-26. Council has secured betterment funding, designs underway that will absolutely be delivered. We've heard from the residents of Castor Street about the challenges there, and whilst I don't know we will ever achieve flood resilience there, complete immunity, there is a project which will see upgrades to a stormwater infrastructure, so boots on the ground stormwater infrastructure in Castor Street, which will, mitigate some of those more frequent events. It may not yet mitigate those larger events, but the work is still going to look at a longer term solution there. Quilla and Coda Street, there's boots on the ground there. There's a solution there that will mitigate some of the issues there. We know it is low lying, but we are confident that it will improve the situation down there. Outside of council work, the River Improvement Trust, council do provide a precept and fund the River Improvement Trust. There's funding there to support some of the flooding impacts that we've seen on Buccaneer and Seafarer in South Mission Beach, which would be great. We sort of touched on some of the works in Silkwood as well. So removing one of those culverts just to mitigate to a minor level some of the works there, but there's some further work. So council will continue to find those solutions. If we get to the budget later today, obviously there are some projects that are highlighted for delivery next year, which have required a little bit more detailed design. And there's a proposal there that council develop a reserve. So when these solutions are found, there is a bucket of money that can be utilised to deliver these. We know how important it is to deliver these projects as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to second the recommendation. I was going to say motion, but it really is a recommendation. So thank you. I'll save my talking for after the budget.
So going back to that, Mr. CEO, about the flood mitigation, I thought I read somebody where that River Trust would also be involved in maybe some of the works down at Cardwell into the future. Is that correct?
Through the chair, through you, Chair, the River Improvement Trust and the partnership that they currently have with council is probably the strongest that we have seen it. There's certainly been engagement with the River Trust that we look at both those tertiary streams, some of those primary and secondary streams, and we have an aligned view on how those are prioritised. So we don't see different parties prioritising and chasing funding for different priorities. And I think the Seafarer Buccaneer project on the whole river is a good example of that, where working in partnership with the River Improvement Trust we can deliver. But absolutely there are areas that the River Improvement Trust can undertake works in and have already undertaken works in down in Cardwell, which are outside of land that council has control in. And we all know where our drain stops. If the natural water course beyond that is not being maintained or has some sort of blockage that hasn't been removed, our drainage is only as good as the natural water course that it runs into.
I'll leave it. Right, so we've got a mover and a seconder. So go to the vote. Everyone's had their comments. Thank you. Now move on to the Mayor's budget speech. So to my fellow councillors, council staff and our community, I'm proud to present the Cassowary Coast Regional Council's budget for 26-27. This year's budget comes at a time of uncertainty with the conflict in the Middle East impacting our economy. What has that got to do with council, you may ask? Well, it contributes to rising costs for our ratepayers and our business community. These rising costs then flow onto council through the delivery of essential services and maintaining critical infrastructure. Despite the challenges, we're committed to keeping costs down as much as possible, and we've looked very closely at how we can be more efficient and more innovative. In this year's budget, we will be investing more than $80 million in capital projects across the region to mitigate flood risks, to renew roads and footpaths, and to enhance safety and accessibility. This $80 million investment includes $38 million worth of funding we've received from external sources. Plus, we will continue to deliver the services you can count on, such as clean water, waste services, and safe public spaces and facilities. We've achieved a lot over the past year. For example, we officially opened the refreshed Mission Beach Town Centre. That was a massive accomplishment and one of the biggest projects that council has ever delivered. Council was also instrumental in seeing major progress at Port Hinchinbrook, where we assisted the state government to acquire key sites to allow for major works to begin in this beautiful part of the region. Over the next 12 months, we'll progress the revitalisation of the Innisfail CBD. Council's job is to serve the community to the best of our ability, and this means being accountable, responsible, and responsive. This budget is all about working towards our vision for the Cassowary Coast to be the most livable tropical community. I'm now going to touch on some key points about our budget and the work that we're doing. The full budget is available on the website. You can expect to see more of our town centres taking on a new look in 26-27. We will continue this exciting journey. In 26-27, we will invest more than $4 million to reseal roads, refresh line markings, upgrade intersections, and improve the safety and accessibility of footpaths in the Innisfail CBD. We'll also increase all-day parking and upgrade the car park on Owen Street. These improvements respond to the community's feedback about how we can make Innisfail CBD a prosperous, vibrant, welcoming town centre. In Innisfail and Tully, we've introduced illuminating trees to provide safety and enhanced ambience, and we'll soon introduce lush tropical plants to the CBD areas. For Cardwell, we're progressing further on drainage and flood mitigation projects, as well as exploring tourism and economic development opportunities through the Cardwell Gateway Precinct project. We've been listening closely to the community about the Warina Lakes building, and soon we'll move to the detailed design for Banyan Park. We will continue to consult the community on key projects, and I encourage you to get involved. Your feedback does matter. The Cassowary Coast is famous for being the wettest region in Australia, and I'm proud to say that our community is always prepared and so resilient. However, 3 significant weather events in recent times have impacted our communities and tested our resilience. Therefore, a major priority in this year's budget is to mitigate flood risks and strengthen flood resilience in key locations. We've committed over $4 million in 26-27 to deliver vital drainage upgrades across the Cassowary Coast. You will see shovels in the ground in Cardwell, Castor Street and Marillion, Flying Fish Point Basin Outlet, Codaquila Streets in Mission Beach, and Gregory Street in Silkwood. We'll also progress solutions for Mill Street in Marillion, Gundy Bend and Innisfail. And we've established a drainage reserve fund so we can find solutions for other impacted areas. We've committed over $30 million to upgrade and maintain council roads, bridges and pathways in 26-27. Works include upgrading unsealed roads to seal roads, renewing roads and bridges, and installing new and wider paths. Road upgrades include Bowen Street, Jubilee Road, Scoogle Road, Grenadilla Road and Stevenson Road. We will continue to advocate for our fair share with the Queensland Department of Transport and Main Roads as they upgrade state roads. Plus, we've secured almost $20 million through the Disaster Relief Funding Arrangements, DRFA, to restore essential public assets following recent severe weather events. Disaster relief funding is absolutely critical for local governments, and it's vital for both state and federal governments to continue to support the DRFA so that costs aren't shifted onto our ratepayers. Over the past year, councillors and I have engaged extensively with residents, businesses and primary producers. We understand how tough the current economic situation is for our community, and we have heard how the rates discount helps to minimise financial impacts. So it's staying. We are retaining the discount for ratepayers who pay their rates on time. We've also worked very hard to keep the rate rise within inflation. Owner-occupied general rates will increase by 5%. So for the majority of owner-occupiers, this means the average general rate increase will be $90 per year, which is equal to $1.73 per week. Historically, council had 2 waste charges. Now you will see them as one combined charge on your rates noticed. Waste collection costs have been heavily impacted by fuel price increases, and they continue to escalate. It's the same situation for all councils. No one is immune to the effects of the Middle East conflict. It's not free to dispose of your rubbish. It's actually one of council's biggest costs. We've worked hard to identify efficiencies so we can help to keep the costs down. We have applied a 5.5% increase for waste that is cost recovery only. For most residential ratepayers, this equates to an extra $37 per year or 71 cents a week. We will continue to find ways to keep costs down, but we need your help to do this. Did you know that when a recycling truck is contaminated with non-recyclables and it only takes one person's bin to contaminate the whole truck, that it costs council around 60% more to dispose of the now contaminated waste? So, improving your recycling habits helps to keep waste charges down. As well, we must stamp out illegal dumping, which is another cost to the community through cleanups, cameras and campaigns. You can take many different items to the waste transfer station for free. Items such as various metals, washing machines, car batteries, TVs, paint, engine oil. And to support residents to prepare for the wet season and to help with cleanups, we're providing 2 free waste vouchers per year, 1 voucher in each rates notice. We will have more to say about the waste vouchers very soon. Yes, we are the wettest region in Australia. However, to supply clean water to our community, we must manage an extensive water infrastructure network. This includes 31 water reservoirs, 13 water pumping stations, 9 chlorination stations, and 830 kilometres of water mains. This infrastructure has assets that you don't see, but they ensure clean water comes out of your tap every time you turn it on. Maintaining this network, around $212 million worth of assets, is one of council's biggest responsibilities and one of the largest costs to this community. In 26-27, we've allocated over $8 million to maintain our water infrastructure. We've tried very hard to find ways to keep water charges down. However, we have an inherited ageing infrastructure and we must invest in its renewal. Water security and maintaining water infrastructure is a major issue for all councils, not just us. And we believe the state has some responsibility here. We believe it's unfair to pass on rising costs to ratepayers when the state also needs to contribute. We will continue to advocate to the state government for their support to help renew critical infrastructure. We're working hard to increase the supply of well-located, flood-resilient housing while preserving the unique character of our region. In 26-27, we will continue to develop Darragee Estate and Eaton Estate, supported by external funding worth $14.4 million. And we will continue to advocate to the state and federal governments on housing policy to meet the Cassowary Coast needs. The Cassowary Coast is incredibly diverse, socially, economically, and environmentally. Our region is a mix of town, rural, and coastal communities with beautiful beaches, lush hinterland, and scenic mountains. We have over 30,000 residents who call the Cassowary Coast home. In developing the budget every year, we're guided by the issues the community reports to council and through the community scorecard survey. In 2024 scorecard, you told us that safety, accessibility, education and employment opportunities and access to health and medical services were important. We heard you and we've acted. Drawing from the scorecard and insights from our Youth Advisory Committee, Council advocated for the establishment of the Cassowary Coast University Centre. Now in its second year of operation, the centre, through council support, is providing accessible tertiary education for our community. Many students are studying in fields aligned with critical local workforce demands, including health, education, culture and business. And this aligns with one of Council's values, to grow our own, to increase workforce capability and strengthen pathways into local employment. Council's early leadership and financial support have led to the successful recovery of primary healthcare services in Mission Beach and Cardwell. We are engaging with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples through our First Nations Peoples Advisory Committee. We've provided opportunities for First Nations creatives to showcase their talents, and we've actively participated in reconciliation and NAIDOC events. We are advancing the interests of young people in our region through the Youth Advisory Committee, the Youth Action Plan, and a range of grants and bursaries. We run and support many community events, including Australia Day Awards, Pacifica Festival, and Volunteers Week. Council also supports the community through our Community Grants Program. In 2025-26, 86 community organisations received grants worth over $300,000. Plus, in 26-27, we will release a Disability Inclusion Action Plan. This will guide us to progressively improve the accessibility of places, spaces, events, information and services. We are very fortunate to live in a region filled with beautiful beaches, unique wildlife and important coastal eco-streams. We are committed to our role as environmental stewards of the Cassowary Coast. We support the protection of the Great Barrier Reef through the Reef Guardian Program and Cassowary Coast River Improvement Trust. We support the successful Science in the Pub series. We encourage water conservation and we support revegetation projects. We will continue to invest in solar, which is another way we are keeping costs down. And the Cassowary Coast is officially an eco destination, recognised for our commitment to sustainable tourism and environmental protection. We currently have more than 3,200 businesses operating in the Cassowary Coast, which provide over 13,000 local jobs. Through our Growing Stronger Together economic development strategy, we aim to create jobs, attract investment, and deliver greater prosperity for the region. The Economic Leadership Committee is in place to support economic growth and help improve the region's livability for current and future residents. We support small businesses to thrive in the Cassowary Coast through startup toolkits, free personalised advice, shopfront improvement grants, information sessions, and local business awards. And as one of the largest employers in the region, Council continues to provide traineeships, apprenticeships, meaningful jobs that contribute to the livability and prosperity of our region. By growing a strong, sustainable and resilient economy, we're on our way to achieving our vision to be the most livable tropical community. I want to thank my fellow councillors and council staff for helping shape the 26-27 budget. In developing the budget, we were guided by council's values to make it better, be courageous, be accountable to our community, work smarter and grow our own. The budget I present to you today is in our values in action. It demonstrates that we are sustainable council, that we are financially responsible, that we are transparent, and that we are committed to meeting the needs of our community. Councillors, CEO Andrew Graffin, the whole council team and I are working hard for our community. During the next 12 months, you'll have a chance to share your feedback through the Cassowary Coast Community Scorecard. So when the time comes, have your say and tell us what matters to you. We are listening. I commend the 2026-2027 Cassowary Coast Regional Council budget for adoption.
Happy to move.
Happy to move.
Second.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Baines, seconded by Councillor Pervin. I now would like to offer councillors an opportunity to speak to the budget. Oh, we didn't vote. Sorry. Moved and seconded. Sorry. I'll put it to the vote. Sorry, guys. Thank you. Now offer councillors an opportunity to speak to the budget. We'll start with Divisional Councillor 1.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think the first thing to get out of the road is the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room, when people look at our budget, will be the headline number that people see. Now, everybody knows that one of Council's biggest inputs is labour. Everybody knows with all the rubbish we move and the vehicles and the graders and the roadworks and the bitumen seal, that our next biggest input is fuel and oils, and those are not running below inflation. They actually are driving our costs through the roof. So when we look at that headline number, people need to remember that this isn't a budget that's business as usual. We are actually tackling some of the big problems that people have brought to our attention and problems that have been neglected for a very long time. And I'm talking about drainage. Council's got in this budget $1 million of carryover for work we simply haven't been able to get through, and $4 million of new works to address those problems. Now, we could easily peeled off a few more % off of that rate rise, but we wouldn't be able to do $5 million worth of works. So, you know, we're talking about projects like Bowen Street that have been promised since most people can remember down at Cardinal, or maybe not that long, but for them it seems that long. It's in the budget this year and it's funded. So, you know, we are actually getting things done. In Cardwell, we've got the foreshore management plan review, and Tully Heads, we've got the foreshore management plan actually ready to roll out and start to consult with the community about that. We've got those drainage improvements that I mentioned, the Gateway Cycle project, which many would remember as the mountain biking project, which is now so much more for Cardwell. We're surveying the people in Cardwell to see whether there is an appetite for sewerage to improve things down there. I recall vividly during the flooding, pictures on Facebook of people swimming in the floodwater. And God help them, I don't know what they were thinking, because that floodwater had flowed right across people's septic tanks. You know, it's time for change down there. And I hope people at CARB will take the opportunity to grab hold of that and go, the future is a safe place. And when there's water in the streets, which there may be for some time, because I don't think we're going to solve the drainage problem this year, we're certainly going to tackle it, that water will be a lot safer to wade through. Not that it's ever safe, but if there's live sewerage in it, it's not a pleasant place to be. Also down in Cable, progressing the walking and cycling plans. And when I look at Division 1, the amount of money we've got in our budget for improving our unsealed road network. Look, when I saw the scorecard for 24 as a new councillor, I was pretty dismayed, and you all remember that. Some of them, I made probably some inappropriate comments at the time. But when I look now and I look forward, I actually am looking forward to the next scorecard, which we will deliver in this year, because I'm expecting people going to go, wow, folks, you haven't got it perfect yet, but gee, you're a long way from where we started a couple of years ago. So to everybody that's listening, I commend this budget. You may not be happy with the headline numbers. I make no apology for the fact that we've gone there, because to deliver anything less would be shortchanging you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Division 2.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, fellow councillors and members of our community, as the portfolio councillor for waste and resource recovery, I'd like to speak in support of the waste and resource recovery initiatives contained within this budget. Waste management, as we've been told, is one of the most important services council can provide, and it protects public health, supports our environment, it contributes to the livability of our communities, it ensures we meet obligations under state and federal legislations. However, it's also one of our largest operational expenses. So every week, council collects household waste, manages transfer stations, operates landfill facilities, maintains infrastructure, the stuff that you can't see, processes recyclables, and complies with increasingly stringent environmental requirements. And these services are essential, but they come at a very much growing cost. I know many residents are feeling the pressures of rising household expenses. As councillors, we have a responsibility to ensure every dollar collected from the ratepayer is used wisely and efficiently. And that's why I strongly support a focus on waste reduction and resource recovery. The most affordable waste is the waste that never reaches landfill. Every tonne of material we recycle, recover, compost, or divert from landfill reduces future disposal costs. It extends the life of our landfill assets, and it creates opportunities to build a more sustainable waste system for future generations. This budget supports ongoing efforts to improve waste management outcomes across the Cassowary Coast, while continuing to investigate opportunities that can deliver long-term savings for our community. The future of waste management is not simply about burying waste in the ground. The future is about recovering resources, reducing landfill dependency, and creating value from the materials that were once considered rubbish. Through improved recycling, better education, reduced contamination, composting opportunities, containers for change, participation, and future resource recovery initiatives, we can continue to move forward and towards that goal. This budget also recognises that the environmental responsibility and financial responsibility go hand in hand. And by diverting more material from landfill today, we reduce the burden on the future ratepayers. So in closing, our community expects us to manage waste responsibly, protect our environment, and spend our ratepayer funds wisely. And this budget helps us achieve all three objectives while laying the foundations for a more sustainable future for the Castlereagh Coast. And Madam Mayor, I commend the budget to the chamber.
Thank you, councillor.
Thank you.
Councillor Division 3.
Thank you. I would like to congratulate all my fellow councillors for working so collaboratively and diligently to deliver a budget that balances our needs to invest in our region's assets and town centres, while at the same time keeping the rate rise for owner-occupiers within inflation. As the Division 3 councillor, I'm particularly thrilled about the capital investment for the community I represent, including $865,000 to mitigate flooding at Coda and Quilla Streets at Wongaling Beach, $465,000 to repair and renew sewerage assets at Mission Beach, almost $400,000 for maintenance and upgrades to the Nilita water supply network, which serves around 2,000 properties from Silkwood to Curramine, as well as Bingle Bay and the north end of Mission Beach. $3.24 million for the Tully water supply network, which includes Mission Beach and Wongaling Beach. As the community, culture and livability portfolio holder, I believe this budget really delivers on our vision to make the Castlereagh Coast the most livable tropical community. These measures include the pensioner discount of $300 remains, the discount for paying on time remains, rates discounts for non-for-profit organisation remains, assistance for people in financial hardship remains. We have allocated $685,000 for upgrades to swimming pools. There is $2.7 million for libraries and an additional $178,000 to complete capital improvements. Over $400,000 will be awarded to community organisations through Council's grants and support program. This includes funding under the Community Infrastructure Grant Program, which has increased from $150,000 to $225,000 for 26-27. In addition, we will continue our involvement in the Regional Arts Development Program, which supports arts and culture and projects and initiatives in the Castlereagh Coast. Funding of $7,000 has been allocated to encourage volunteerism and celebrate Volunteers Week. We will undertake the community scorecard again in 26-27, and I urge everybody to please participate. This survey helps Council to understand your needs, the needs of community, and ensure Council's priorities align with those of the community it serves. We will very soon be calling for new members for two of our Council advisory groups, the Youth Advisory Committee and the First Nations People Advisory Committee. And I would once again encourage and urge people to participate in those groups. I'd also like to reflect on the 25-26 year and the massive accomplishment that was the Mission Beach Town Revitalisation Project. That was huge, and I take my hat off to all the staff, all the councillors, all the business operators, the landowners. It was a huge project. There were trials and tribulations, but we delivered, and it was very exciting. The major project delivered major infrastructure upgrades, improved safety and accessibility, and created a more welcoming beachfront precinct. We officially opened the town centre in April 2026, and it was wonderful to see so many visitors and locals enjoying themselves. I'm really excited about working with our Mayor, my fellow councillor, CEO and the whole council team to deliver the initiatives in this year's budget. The Castlereagh Coast is such an incredible place, naturally beautiful, unique, wonderful people, strong cultures with a can-do community spirit. And I feel privileged to be a community member and an elected representative. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Division 4.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to my fellow councillors. It's been hours, days, weeks, months of us sitting here in the rooms talking about our budget for the 26-27 budget for the Castlereagh Coast. The Mayor, your budget speech sums up everything. We're across the whole region. We're doing everything that the community has asked us to do. We are trying our best. We have kept the 5% discount to the remain for all residents of the Castlereagh Coast. Improved drainage planning works to be carried out to try and help solve problems of flooding in areas of the Castlereagh Coast, South Mission Beach, Marillion, Flying Fish Point, Cardwell. Improvements to the Innisfail CBD, including the resealing of roads within the CBD, new gardens, upgrades to footpaths, the continuation of works to the Castlereagh Coast water and sewage infrastructure, over $8 million allocated alone to water infrastructure, the continual rollout of smart meters, showing that we're up with technology today. Over $30 million in upgrades and renewals to roads, bridges, footpaths across the whole Castlereagh Coast, including some sealing of roads that were dirt and they will become bitumen. To the community of the Castlereagh Coast, I thank you. We listen, we will deliver. And my fellow councillors, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just-
Yes, I just need to be excused. I'm sorry. Thank you.
We're out.
Thank you. Thank you. Now go to Division 5, councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Again, I would like to thank all the councillors, all the Castlereagh Coast Regional Council staff for the great efforts they've put in. I'm going to pay a particular thank you to Ms Swift for making the budget process with her team very pleasurable and introducing me to a new term like beautiful numbers. Again, what I'm trying to get to in this is that it's about people working together. The CEO's already mentioned some of the successful funding that has been coming through into council. I'd like to make particular mention of the Natural Environment Services team on their great efforts in that space, but also all the other departments working together. Development and the environment can work together, can come along, and we can help grow this region into a very successful, most livable tropical community. The works around reconciliation events and NAIDOC events has always been strong within Castlereagh Coast Regional Council, and I thank you all for continuing to work in this space because we're building capability and economic stability within our region and utilising the many and varied cultures together as we work. We spoke about the Pacifica event that was just happened recently. I was fortunate enough to be at the Pacific Ocean Business Conference just the week before, and a really important statement was made at that conference that the Pacific Ocean doesn't separate us, it joins us. It makes us, it connects us, it makes us work together. So look forward to that space in the future. The other partnerships, Reef Guardian Councils, Reef Councils, the River Improvement Trust. The River Improvement Trust is dedicated to working with council and working for community and for council. The local NRM groups are essential and partners in this space. Traditional custodian ranger groups also essential working together in this space. But most importantly, it's community, because we all are members of the community and we all do need to work together in this space. So I commend the budget for its adoption today. I thank community for being part of this. I'm very proud to continue working in this space. And I will say, after 10 years in, the federal and the state governments are saying local government much more in their conversations as we move forward. So let's get the Castlereagh Coast moving towards the most livable tropical community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Move on to Division 6.
Thank you through the chair. A lot has been mentioned before, but I do want to thank my fellow councillors. This hasn't been, smooth sailing. We do go in and battle for our divisions and for our projects. Some may not get up this year, but they're still in there. So please, be patient with us. We can't, have everything in, a hurry. There are things that need to be done, and especially in the drainage sector. It's been 3 years since Marillion was flooded, and we're finally coming to deliver priority drainage upgrades for Castor Park. There's a lot of investigations that had to be done prior to that. You just can't go and dump things there because you never know what the impact might be, the flow-on effect. So, Rome was never built in a day, and we are progressing, investigations and modelling for future designs and future projects that are in there. We're undertaking drainage modelling updates for Marillion as a whole and East Innisfail. looking at managing stormwater infrastructure, the key drainage outlets in Marillion. Also, we're advocating through the mayor to improve marine facilities at Cowley Beach, and we're also doing upgrades to Cowley Beach Caravan Park. And really happy. We've been pushing this for quite a while, but we have funded to seal high priority unsealed roads in council's unsealed road network, like delivering upgrades to Warren-Bullen Road. And that is one thing that if this budget gets across today, I will be making several phone calls to a few residents down there. In the ECDEV space, the economic development space, we will maintain our small business friendly council status and provide the small business action plan for the Cassowary Coast. The local business awards were amazing. And I want to thank council for continuing that by facilitating collaboration between our local chambers and business networks to keep this business awards going. Review and agree on additional projects to progress the implementation of the Innisfail CBD by adoption by council by prioritising implementation plan for the Innisfail CBD. Every CBD we're getting a bit of love. You know, Cardwell is going to be seeing the Cardwell Gateway project. Hopefully a few things through that will be delivered. And a big thing that I was sitting in a Tully Chamber meeting, I'm going to say maybe 3-4 years ago. So I said, things do not always happen instantly, but we are researching and hopefully implementing digital information signage in each major township, or at least 2, and to present council with 2 potential digital information signage sites for consideration. So this has been huge. The community's been asking, where do we get the messaging from? How do we find it? We're not on Facebook. We don't do emails. There's so many different, things don't do paper, even though we put it on all of those things. But hopefully we will see big digital signage boards, at least in 2 potential for this year. So that is me done.
Thank you. Thank you for all those comments. We will now adopt the 26-27 annual budget. Can I please have a mover and a seconder as we move through the budget process? Item 3.1, annual budget 26-27. That pursuant to sections 169 and 170 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council adopts the budget tabled in the following for the 26-27 financial year. 1. Statements of the following for the 26-27, 27-28 and 28-29 financial years. A. Statement of financial position. B. Statement of cash flow. C. Statement of income and expenditure. D. Statement of changes in equity. 2. The long-term financial forecast. 3. The measures of financial sustainability as described in the Financial Management Sustainability Guideline, and the total value of the change expressed as a percentage in the rates and utility charges levied for the financial year compared with the rates and utility charges levied in the budget for the previous financial year.
Happy to so move, Chair.
Moved by Councillor Littlemore. Second by Councillor Jessup. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 3.2. Statement of estimated financial position. That pursuant to section 205 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council notes the statement of estimated financial position as tabled in the financial statements. Moved by Councillor Chewy. Second by Councillor Baines. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 3.3, revenue statement. That Council adopt the revenue statement for 26-27 as tabled and resolve that 1. Pursuant to section 81 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the categories into which rateable land is categorised and the description of each of those categories be as set out in the revenue statement. 2. Pursuant to Section 257 of the Local Government Act 2009 and in accordance with Section 81 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council delegates to the Chief Executive Officer the power to identify the rating category to which each parcel of rateable land belongs. 3. Pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act and Sections 80 and 81 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council adopt a differential rating system and make and levy a differential general rate on all parcels of rateable land included in each category as set out in the revenue statement. 4. Pursuant to Section 77 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council will make and levy a minimum differential general rate on all parcels of rateable land included in each category as set out in the revenue statement. 5. Pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act and Section 103 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council will make and levy the separate charges as set out in the revenue statement, which include the Transport Infrastructure Levy. 6. Pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council will make and levy the special charges and, where applicable, adopt the overall plans and annual implementation plans set out in the revenue statement, which includes the Billiana, Murray Upper, Kennedy, Meena Creek and Cowley Beach Rural Fire Brigade special charges. 7. Pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act and Section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make and levy the utility charges for water, sewerage, trade waste and waste as set out in the revenue statement. 8. Pursuant to Section 118 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, all rates and charges shall be due and payable within 30 days of the issuance of rates notices, as more particularly set out in the revenue statement. 9. Pursuant to Section 130 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council will allow a discount of 5% on general rates where payment of the full amount of the outstanding and overdue rates and interest is paid by the due date as more particularly set out in the revenue statement. And 10, pursuant to Chapter 4, Part 10 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council grants the concessions set out in the revenue statement and the rating concessions policy.
Happy to move that, Chair.
Happy to move.
You need a drink of water?
Bit of a mouthful.
Happy to second.
Happy to second, Councillor Baines. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 3.4, interest on overdue rates and charges. That Council adopt the interest rate on overdue rates and charges as tabled and resolve that pursuant to Section 133 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council will charge interest on overdue rates and charges at an interest rate of 12.19% per annum, compounded on daily rates from the date the rates and charges become overdue, as more particularly set out in the revenue statement. That's a little more.
Chair, just before I move that, I'd like to make comment, please.
Sure.
Mayor, many people should by now realise that that percentage rate is not set by the council.
No.
That rate is established by the state government.
Yeah.
But for those who haven't, you know, they might have just tuned in or just got their first rate notice, if they're lucky to be in that position, hopefully they can pay their rates. But the reason we charge this rate isn't because council is greedy. It's because it's a rate that's set by the state government, and so it's defensible. That's the rate we adopt. And people may go, are you happy to move that? Maybe I'm not happy to move it, but I move that.
Yep, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jessup. Those in favour? Thank you. Item 3.5, Capital Works Program. That council, 1, adopt the Capital Works Program for the 26-27 financial year, and 2, note the 27-28 and 28-29 Capital Works Program as tabled in the 26-27 budget document. Councillor Chewy, going to move that.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Pervin. Those in favour? Thank you. Item 3.6, budget policies. That council adopt the following policies as included within the attached budget pack. 1, rating concessions policy. 2, investment policy. 3, financial hardship policy. 4, debt policy. 5, debt recovery policy. 6, revenue policy. And 7, financial reserves policy. Councillor Baines?
Move to governance rocks.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Chewy to second.
Thank you.
Those in favour? Carried. Item 3.7, Code of Competitive Conduct. That council, in accordance with section 47(7) of the Local Government Act 2009, determine 1, that the Code of Competitive Conduct is applicable to water, wastewater and waste and resource recovery businesses unit for the 26-27 financial year, and 2, not to apply the Code of Competitive Conduct to any other business activity for the 26-27 financial year. Councillor Jessup, happy to move.
Second that, Chair.
Seconded by Councillor Littlemore. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. That brings us to the meeting closure. Thank you for your time.